In the whole class?
Yeah, in the whole class, and it's going to go on.
That's wonderful.
So it's
That's
1 or 2
great.
years.
That's great.
And,
do you think we should move
okay.
this? This is red. I'm not boogie red. Just move things around.
Okay.
Okay. Just gotta slide. And you're the interviewer?
Yeah, there's 2 other interviewers, but it was my turn.
Oh.
I volunteered.
Oh, that's good. Oh, that's good.
And Zoe, she also volunteered. Actually, all of us volunteered besides Bert. And there's groups that we got that we he's in one group with 3 people, and 2 people, and 3 people.
Good.
I was 3.
Should we move this too?
Yeah.
What's your light? You're not ready yet.
I need it.
It's kind of a clever little unit. Boy, all this stuff.
Ooh, can I go ask David really quick for an extension?
Good. How close do we have to be?
Just so we can plug.
Well, wait a second. There's an extension. What's that white cable?
Oh, it's to the
Plug
phone.
into something. What's it plugged into? Oh, it's a computer.
This one,
That's a
yeah,
computer.
that's okay.
All right.
So, do you have any questions about?
No. I'm all set. Is this okay here? It's like kind of up against my neck. That's not working? Okay, let's look. What do we do? Well, this is a clever unit. No, I think it's probably about this whole oral history
Yeah.
kind of unit that you're, or this project that you're doing,
Yeah.
which is kind of cool. Very cool. No.
Today.
Okay.
So, sorry. Today is June 10th, 2004, and my name is Shanita Massey, and I'm interviewing you. And this is Johnny Esau, who's a classroom teacher at MES. So,
Okay.
have you always, okay, now we started the interview. Have you always lived in Marlboro?
Let's see. No. I moved to Vermont in 1968, and I lived up in Burlington, and went to college there, and then in 1976, I moved to Dover, Vermont, which is just a little north of here. It's pretty close to Mount Snow. And I lived there from 1976 to 1985, and then moved to Marlboro in 1985. And I still have land here. I did sell my house to the Sheriffkins in 2001, but I still have land and a cabin with no water. Okay.
Why did you move to Marlboro?
Oh, well, let's see. I moved to Marlboro from Dover because I wanted, well, I guess I liked the town. I liked the folks that lived in the town. And I wanted to be, I taught in the town. I started teaching in 1981 here, and so I wanted to be close to my job, which happened to be only a mile and a half away. So just a fun place to live.
What did you think of Marlboro the first time you saw it?
Good question. Well, the first time I saw it, I blew right through it because Marlboro sits on Route 9, so I just kind of right through it. But when I got a job here in 1981, I started getting into the town and actually seeing different parts of the town. So I really loved how quaint it was, and I loved where the school was. It was a real small school. There were only 50 kids when I first came, so it was just a really nice, small southern Vermont community. Really loved it. I answered that question.
Where did you live before Marlboro, and what made you want to be there?
Oh gosh, Dover. I lived in Dover for about 9 years. And again, the reason why I wanted to move was to just be closer to my job. I also wanted my daughter, Corey, to go to the Marlboro School. So,
How long have you worked in Marlboro?
23 years, which is amazing. I keep thinking about that.
Aside from the job you have now, have you had other jobs in Marlboro?
Well, let's see. I ran the Vermont Garlic Company for about 5 years. I think from 1995 to 2000. And we produced garlic products and had a lot of fun with it, but it was too much for us to sell garlic and to teach school at the same time. I think that's all I did. Oh no, maybe I did other things. I did carpentry. I built things for different people. I did some electrical work for David, and I don't know what else I did. I think that's probably it.
What were your first impressions of the school when you came for your
Oh boy. Well, you know, I was teaching at the Wyndham Elementary School. I was teaching grades 3, 4, 5, and 6, and I was principal. And I just didn't like it. I was beginning to not like the job because it was only a 2-room school. So the job for this school came up, and it was kind of interesting. It was for 3, 4, 5, teaching 3, 4, 5 downstairs. And I was a little nervous about applying. I didn't think that I had a chance to get it. But then Bruce Cole, who was the principal at the time, told me, why don't you just apply? And I said, okay. So it was like the last day. There were like 2 hours left to get the applications in. And I just got it in on time. And then I had this really very, I don't know, I had this interview, and I just, Liza Murrow came up to the interview, came up to the Wyndham Elementary School to watch me teach. And during that little, like, while I was teaching, I kind of squatted down to help a kid, and my pants blew up. It was just like this, boom! And I was like, and Liza was there. She was a school board member. And I had the biggest rip in my pants I ever had. It went from the bottom of my fly all the way around to my belt. Oh my goodness. So anyhow, I don't know if that was why I got the job. I have no idea. But I was pretty graceful after I ripped my pants. I walked out kind of like cross-legged, and then came back in with my shirt tied around my waist. And I got the job. So then after that, I was pretty, I never really saw the Marlboro School. So I got it, after I got the job, then I saw it, and I was really excited because it was, at that time, and this was in 1981, I think there was only 1, 2, 4 rooms in the whole school. So.
You said that there was 3, 4, 5 as grades that you worked in. How was that transition to only 4th and 5th?
Oh, well, actually, when I first started at Marlboro, I taught 1 second grader, and then 3, 4, and 5. And I think it just happened. What happened was that more kids started moving in. So as more kids moved in, then I got less. We had to divvy up the grades better. You know, we always looked at the numbers and how many were in each classroom to make it more fair. Otherwise, you'd have one class with 25 and one with 10. That didn't make much sense. They just did it, divvied it up. I don't know.
What's something you remember about your first few days at school?
Well, one thing I remember was I had, I was learning how to play the fiddle. And there might have been a music program, but I can't remember if there was. But anyhow, I was learning how to play the fiddle. And we decided to have a little Virginia reel. Like we tried to do like a little dance. And we didn't have a lot of space to do it. So we decided to do it out in front of the building, out in the parking lot. So we had this whole Virginia. I was playing the fiddle, and Lucky Woodlock was calling the dance, which I can't call and play at the same time because walking and talking and chewing gum, forget it. I can't do that. But anyhow, I was playing the fiddle, and she was calling the dance, and we were dancing out in front of the park out front of the school, which is really cool. I don't know, that's one of the things. I can't remember anything else. I mean, 23 years, it's kind of like goes out your ear, your brain leaks. Go ahead.
Has Marlboro met your expectations?
Oh gosh, well, Marlboro's a pretty amazing place. From the very beginning of when I first started working here, I immediately got my school bus driver's license, and that made all the difference in the world. Having a school bus driver's license, then I could take my class anywhere I wanted to, with, of course, asking the school board. But they just were so generous in letting us, you know, travel, that we just went all over the place. So it certainly, I was able to do a lot of really fun things. So I'm very grateful for that.
What do you see as some advantages of living and working in the same town?
Well, I think at first I was nervous about living and working in the same town. I don't know why, but I just felt a little nervous because I'm not even actually sure why I felt nervous about it, but I did it anyhow. I said, well, okay, I'm going to live and work in the same town, and just hope that, you know, that people won't get really upset with me, but I don't know. It was just a funny feeling, like, because Connie and Bruce would always tell me, you shouldn't work and live in the same town because you just never know. There could be a problem or something. And I thought, well, what could that problem be? I don't know. I guess I can't really. I think an advantage would be is that I would maybe be here on time. I mean, lately, whew, I have been wicked late. I have really been late. So the advantage is definitely getting here closer to the time that you're supposed to be here, which is at 8, and I've been really bad. I hate to admit that, but I admitted it on camera. That's bad. On film, or whatever. Go ahead.
As a teacher, how do you decide on what to teach for the year? What's the theme?
Well, I know that I have to teach math and writing and reading and, you know, spelling, and just all of those kinds of language arts. I know I have to do that. A lot of times it's dictated by our district. They have like these specific curriculums that you have to follow, which I wasn't really very good at following, but, you know, it gave me an idea of what to do. And like for social studies and science, what I did was just, you know, I would, if I liked something, like I really loved the Revolutionary War, so I would try to have, you know, my year based upon the Revolutionary War. And plus also, my Vermont unit, I'm supposed to teach Vermont in 4th grade. So, like, as a 4th grade teacher, I'm supposed to teach it. So I have to try to weave it in somehow. And I've always loved bridges, so you know, it's all history now. But you know, I just do bridges. I studied bridges, and I really tried to, you know, involve all the areas of the curriculum. Try to, you know, like we had Margaret MacArthur come in and do music, writing a song about the bridges, you know, all this stuff, you know. So, anyhow, that's sort of what I did.
Why did you start liking the Revolutionary War?
Well, I think the Revolutionary War, my father really loved the Revolutionary War. And I think it was really him, that his love of it, I just really liked it as well. So I think maybe I was going to try to carry on his love, because he's dead now, so he's gone now, so I'm just carrying it on. And bridges were just that I like to build, and I like to, and I just love, you know, I love the wooden treasures that we have, and I love the fact that they've been around, some of them have been around for 100 years, over 100 years. It's just incredible. I don't know. That's it.
Did you ever want to be something other than a classroom teacher?
Well, I started out being a carpenter. So I did that for about 9 years, and then I decided, well, you know, I started working in schools. I started working in the Dover School as a substitute, and also I built little projects with kids, and so I started thinking, it's kind of fun. So, became a teacher.
Is it sometimes difficult to do this job?
Yes, it really is. I think it's difficult because there are a lot of pressures from the state of Vermont that make it harder. Like in the beginning, when I first started teaching, you know, it was all the stuff that I wanted to do. You know, also the state too. I mean, they or their district would say you have to do, you know, reading and math and all those different areas. But then the state started saying, well, we really want the portfolios and we want this and that. Like, became really hard. And then sometimes, you know, sometimes your classes, the kids that you get in class are just unbelievably wonderful. And sometimes you get kids that are, you know, not so wonderful. And it makes it more difficult. However, I still love them. I love all the kids I get. But sometimes it makes it more difficult.
Don't you have one child?
One child.
And has Marlboro been a good place to raise her?
Oh, I think she had a really wonderful time in Marlboro. She started out at the Meeting House School and just progressed right up through and graduated and then went to Vermont Academy, and now she's at St. Lawrence University. And I think she's going to be almost a senior next year. So I guess I do think it was a good place for her. Plus I got to teach her for two years. I don't know if she liked that so much. I don't know. I actually knew what she had for homework. And sometimes she would say that she didn't have any homework. I said, I don't know about that. So it might not have been a great thing for her, but I mean, I really enjoyed it, I have to say.
Will you retire here?
Well, I'm retiring at the end of this school year. I still have land in a cabin here, and I also have a home up in Ludlow, and so we'll sort of be back and forth. So I'm not exactly sure where I'll end up, but hopefully we'll be around here.
Okay, so thank you for helping us with our oral history project.
You're welcome.
And
Oh, it was really very interesting. Is it old?
yeah.
Have we stopped?
Yep.
We really have? Well, you know, I should have said that I get very nervous in these things, and I think I made some, you know, funny.
Whoa, 59.
59?
59 minutes and 9 seconds.
Well, maybe 39.
I really don't think that. Right.
That's okay. So, does that have a microphone?
Yes.
It does.
It does.
But this is also a recorder?
Yeah.
In
Yes.
In case that,
Like some of the times we
Fails
might
or
not
something.
bring video, because all we mostly need is what you're saying.
What?
Yeah.
but it really depends on your job. So if you're a teacher, you just see books around. Maybe you're a teacher. If you're a carpenter.
Oh, I see. So you want to have tools around if they're a carpenter or something like that. Oh, that's okay. Oh, sorry. What?
No, that does not have a microphone.
Thank
That
goodness.
Does not have.
So
Well,
Thank
teacher,
goodness.
teacher.
Well, that was fun. I hope I answered your questions. Sometimes I tend to go on and on.
No, that's
You
good.
know,
That's
but
good.
then
That
I
really
get-
gives us more.
And I get tongue-tied, and then I'm thinking about what I'm supposed to be saying, and I'm not saying the right thing, and who knows what I'm supposed to do. But
That was good.
it's